Hello and welcome to a live Kerfefe break on the new Deprogrammed channel. If it's your first time here, please hit like and subscribe. If it's not your first time here and you've been here a long time, I'll just tell you one quick announcement. I'm moving. This has been happening for a few days, and finally, like the real move. And we're gonna postpone book club again because Sunday's gonna be impossible. And I'm sorry, I'm really sorry we're postponing it again, but it will give you more time to read the book. And in our book club Facebook group, Amy's going to announce the new date. I just want to make sure it works for my husband because he wants to be there as well. So we are currently reading the real Anthony Fauci, which is a very dense book. So if you want to join us, you still have time to get a copy of the book, and we'll be announcing the new date when it's not so crazy for me. I'm not going to keep my guests waiting today. This morning, I have two beautiful ladies, Libby Emmons and Sara Higdon. Where are you? What am I doing wrong? Oh, there you are. Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for being here, both of you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I haven't been paying a lot of attention to the news. So when I was talking with my husband about what topics I'm going to do today, I said all I've paid attention to is the meltdown that's been happening on Twitter because Elon Musk bought it. And so I haven't talked about that yet. So I was hoping we could just go through some of that.
That's been so crazy. It's been a really fun week in conservative news. It's been one of my favorite news cycles in a while. And we've been digging into it at the Post Millennial. It's been a lot of fun. Seeing that news. What was it, on Monday? Was it only Monday?
It was only Monday.
5 days
believe
ago.
that. I released a video on this
Musk
yesterday too.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's been a fun week.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Between that and the disinformation, the board of what was it?
The Ministry of
Disinformation.
Truth.
Well, that's the don't say gay bill version of it. You know, it's like that's the fake name, but it's like the Disinformation Government Board, or what is it exactly? I'm sorry, I'm gonna grab it because I was looking at it this morning.
I haven't even heard about this.
Okay,
so you can
check
tell
this
me all
out.
about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Biden administration, under the Department of Homeland Security, has created the Disinformation Board. Let's find it. What's it called?
Is this
Disinformation? It's the Disinformation Governance Board. Apparently, they've been working on developing it for some time, and they appointed a woman named Nina Jankowicz to lead the board, and she has a long history with disinformation, namely in spreading it herself. So it's sort of like, what is going on? Like, the Biden administration creates essentially what a lot of conservatives are calling the Ministry of Truth, harkening back to George Orwell and his book 1984. It's the Disinformation Governance Board, headed by someone who said that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a Russian hoax, someone who was a big proponent of the Russia collusion story with Donald Trump, someone who in May 2020 told Americans to go back to their Zoom happy hours and washing their hands, and that Joe Biden's influence in Ukraine to get that prosecutor fired who was investigating the energy company on whose board his son sat, that this was not extortion, but that this was diplomacy, and that his efforts to withhold promised funding from Ukraine until the prosecutor was fired was perfectly fine, and we should all just go back to Netflix. She literally said this. Jack Posobiec has been huge in pulling out all of these old tweets. Christina Pushaw, Ron DeSantis' press secretary, has also been pulling them out, along with a bunch of other pretty interesting people on Twitter, just like digging through and finding her old tweets. We've run a bunch of stories on it. There's all this video of her singing show tunes, which I gotta say makes me like her, but
that's what I was gonna see. This video of her on TikTok was something to see. That's what I was looking for, actually, to see if I could pull it up. But
yeah, it's amazing
because it's talking. I mean, she was the one that was key to the hiding the Hunter Biden laptop story. Like, she was the person that did that, like that told the news media what they could and could not put out about that. So she was responsible for burying it.
And she was like, all of these former intelligence heads said that it's trash, so we probably should believe them. And now she's the one who's going to be dealing with this disinformation. Now, what's interesting is when you look into what the Disinformation Governance Board is primarily concerned with, there's a lot of talk about them intentionally going into communities overseas where people are fleeing those nations and coming to illegally immigrate into the US. And part of the idea is to inform these people that this is not the time to come, apparently. That's worked great so far, right? We've seen that. Alejandro Mayorkas got in front of the press briefing whenever it was. I have no conception of time, but like after Biden was sworn in, a little bit after that, and he said, we're not, I believe this is a direct quote, we're not saying don't come, we're saying don't come yet. So I guess they're going to reinforce that message that, I don't know.
Well, if they just need to tell these people that America is a white supremacist patriarchy. And
nobody believes that except for a bunch of American leftists.
Why would you want to come to such an oppressive place? I don't get it. I think Pirate might have that video pulled up that you mentioned, Sarah.
Yes. This is, yeah, because it was on Tucker. That's right.
What?
Yeah, it sure was. There are so many. Yeah.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes a lot by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. When Giuliani shared that intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain. They're laundering disinfo when we really should take note and not.
Did they hire a TikTok influencer to do this?
I don't know what her background is. Do you know, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's her background or she's just she's actually somebody that's been working on Capitol Hill for a long time in these types of spaces, and she just so happens to have a TikTok. But
yeah, it's pretty insane. This morning on Twitter, a lot of people were. You had Dolores Umbridge trending because a lot of people were comparing her to Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, the notorious, ambitious headmaster who comes in and forces Harry to write lines in his own blood, etc., etc. It's pretty wild.
Dion in chat says we live in a parody. Yes, I just think that's pretty. It's right up there with. Do you remember when John Ashcroft sang his song in front of when they covered up Lady Liberty, they covered up her bosoms, and and then he did a song about like let the eagle soar or something, and it just was sort of cringe. Like, I mean, it's not that if you're in politics you shouldn't have a fun creative side. I don't believe that. You should be able to be fun and creative, but when you're putting out your beliefs in this sort of comedic show tune form, it's like, wait, what are you? Are you a government official or are you an influencer?
Yeah, it's pretty cringy to see government officials out there with the jazz hands and the grease paint, under the oil lamps.
This has been the direction I think that they've been going towards, because they're trying to get the youth, because they've seen the shift in the youth more to the right. The youth is shifting a little bit more to the right, I think. And so they're seeing that. So now they're trying to get on their level and get them excited. And that's why they're on TikTok. It's to get that audience. They know that that's the only audience that's not paying attention to every little detail that they're doing. So I think that's really what it is. Like, that's why they had the TikTok influencers a few months ago. Like, and it's just parody.
That was amazing.
Wait, I missed this too. What are you talking about? The TikTok
influencer? The White House had a yeah, go ahead. Oh, they had him too. They had that guy too. But then they also had like a Zoom call with a bunch of TikTok influencers to give them the party line and the going narrative on COVID and Ukraine. And then the influencers went out there and they said, I was at the White House and here's the real deal on Ukraine, you guys. And they gave that information.
Oh my gosh.
It was
This-
it was unbelievable.
They said
And
they
they like
said
did
it.
the thing. They just like went out there and they did the yeah.
Oh my gosh. Are
It's
you
like
guys
that's
on?
the only platform that they have influence over anymore, especially now with Elon Musk taking over Twitter. It's like
Right. And then they
everywhere
ruin the
else.
educational system. None of these people can
Yeah,
think for themselves. They just say what
but
they're told.
but I think it's because nobody really gets too up in arms when they ban like conservatives off of TikTok. It's just kind of accepted. Whereas every other platform, it still becomes news when prominent conservatives are banned. And so I think that's why they have to be able, they can control TikTok better. You know, they can, it's not something that conservatives are really even paying attention to anymore. So that's why they don't even go to Facebook, who is more in bed with them. But even like your grandparents are on Facebook and they get upset when they can't see Tucker Carlson, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro, I think isn't Ben Shapiro on TikTok?
Is
I
he?
think he's like the
Are
only
you
one.
are you guys on TikTok?
I have a TikTok. I did a TikTok a couple weeks ago, but it was my first one.
I have one, but I think all that's up there is a video of tiger and a video of butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know how to use it yet. Well, hey, speaking of getting back to the Twitter thing and the Elon thing, there's been so much happening. And first of all, it was a meme heyday, and I do have some memes we can look at later if we want to have a laugh towards the end. But the other thing is that I've noticed, and I'm sure you guys have noticed, everyone's talking about it. A lot of people would say are wrong thinkers, not just conservatives, but people who are not woke, are seeing their numbers climb, their subscriber numbers climbing.
Yeah.
And I wondered what you guys thought that was, because I think it's probably a mix of, there's a lot of perma-banned accounts that are coming back. I know Drunk 3PO got his account back.
Rosie got
Brett-
her Redheaded Libertarian account back.
Yep. So there's been quite a few of those that are sort of reanimating, which is sort of funny. I was making jokes about how it's like if you're in a movie and these freedom fighters are reanimating the army of the undead, unwoke to come back to Twitter. So I think some of it is reanimated accounts, but what else do you think is going on? Do you think that there was some sort of shadow banning algorithm that they've turned off or something?
I know I'm no longer shadow banned, and so I've seen engagement numbers that are just through the roof. Like numbers on posts that were like comments on other people's posts would not get like any engagement for me. They wouldn't get like anything. And now I'm like looking and seeing like how many people are actually getting like viewing the tweets, and it's a lot more than it used to be. So I don't know. I think that there was some shadow banning going on, and I think that the people at Twitter might have hit like a panic button. Like they had a panic button built in that automatically did these things, because you're also seeing leftists lose a lot of followers. I don't think it's that many people leaving the platform. I think it's that Twitter had bumped their numbers up with bots for so long because that's who they wanted to stay higher in their algorithm. So you bump them up with bots and inflate their numbers to make them more influential. And so now you're seeing them just lose all their followers because they hit that reset button too.
I did.
Was there an actual like reset button? What's
I don't know.
about? Yeah,
I don't know. It's my theory is that they like there was a panic button that when the deal was signed, they had to kind of get rid of all the evidence of everything that they were doing, so that kind of erased the code that was the shadow bans and everything like that.
That's interesting. Yeah, because that's something that some people have been saying. I think Congressman Jim Jordan, Jack Posobiec from Human Events, Josh Hawley, and some others have been saying, don't erase anything, Twitter. We're going to come check it out. And Jack was like, you bought evidence, Mr. Musk. Like, that's what you have purchased.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if any of that comes out. I have noticed that as well. The Post-Millennial Hour following increased a ton this week. Mine did personally. I was like, whoa, hi, everybody. How's it going? It's been interesting to see that. I think there's also some renewed excitement. Like I've seen people saying that they're coming back on the platform because Elon Musk bought it. Charlie Kirk deleted his Rachel Levine is a man tweet and got back on the platform. So did Tucker Carlson, deleted his, I think, retweet of Charlie Kirk and got back on the platform. I don't know if the Babylon Bee has done that. Do we know? I don't know.
I have not seen them post anything. Their account it's never been showed as suspended on there, so it's up, but they haven't tweeted anything, so I don't think they've done that.
Yeah, because I think they have to delete a tweet in order to gain access. But Seth Dillon is still on there, and he's the CEO, and he has a pretty big reach. So I think it's not harming them probably as much. Plus, they must have a massive email list.
And then Libs of TikTok hit 1 million this week.
Right, the Taylor Lorenz situation, that was amazing.
Before we talk about that, because I do want to talk about the billboard that Tim pulled and Daily Wire paid for. But before we talk about that, on the Twitter conversation, I think this is just speculation, but I was speculating the same thing, Sarah. I was thinking like they must have turned off something that they had on that maybe they don't want the new owners to see. And I know that on Facebook a couple years ago, Facebook, there was a leaked internal memo where they had a whole list of accounts that they were shadow banning. It was basically admitting like these are and I know Mike Cernovich was on that list, Candace Owens was on that list, and it was a list of people whose accounts, I think they called it down throttling them to make sure that their posts showed up less. And of course I just assume and speculate that Twitter had something like that, and now they're like, somebody in the chat said it's like burning all the documents before the authorities get there. I feel like they probably, like you said, Sarah, maybe not a panic button, but they're like, hey, let's turn off this shadow banning algorithm just so it's not working anymore. You know? Well,
and there is a shadow ban test website that you can go to and run anybody's usernames. And as soon as this happened, like I saw my shadow ban, or it's called a ghost ban on there, but my ghost ban disappeared in the last couple of days. Elon Musk though had gotten like shadow banned like right after he purchased it though, so it was really interesting.
But everyone's reporting on like any tweet he sends is now national news.
Well, he's trolling everybody. It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I love to see it.
But there has definitely been an energy shift on there. I think, like you said, there is a renewed excitement. I was almost feeling that. Like, I think a lot of people are starting to feel like I've seen people say this is feeling like 2016 Twitter all over again. Like that's where people's numbers are at, and that's where their excitement is about the platform. And I guess that was always considered kind of the heyday of social media was around 2015, 2016, I guess.
Certainly for conservatives,
I was in the army, so I was kind of in a cult and not in those spaces. So I didn't even have a Twitter until 2018. So I was not even there during that time. But if this is how it was, then I can see why there's excitement.
I was on Twitter since 2012, but I didn't really start paying attention until I started doing journalism. It's not a huge platform in the art space. Facebook is a lot bigger of a platform in the art space, and Instagram to like get people to come to your shows and stuff like that. Yeah,
I was on it back then, but it was all woke stuff that I was tweeting and announcements for client shows. So it was completely different, and there was like no one following. Different. Yeah, it was like a personal thing. I did want to put up. So there have been. You mentioned that you don't think it's all like some leftists are losing followers, and I saw Anna Navarra, I think her name is. She was like, "Oh, I'm losing lots of followers. Are people really leaving?" I agree. I don't think it's that people are really leaving. There a lot of people made threats to leave. And this one guy, there were so many, but I just want to highlight this one. Charles Blow was my favorite. Pirate, can you pull up that
the New York
tweet?
The New York Times columnist who writes about how awful white people are.
So this is a tweet where he's retweeting the New York Times talking about Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. And he says, "Looks like I'm about to say goodbye to Twitter as well. I've been pulling back a bit from social media anyway. This will be just the push I need to go all the way on this app." And then
I love no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, well, but then this was what was really funny. I retweeted that because this made me think of, you guys know that movie, The Jerk, with Steve Martin?
Yes.
Where he's like the movie. Big dramatic goodbye when he's leaving. He's like, "I'm leaving. I don't need anything. I don't need you.
Except this.
I just need
this toaster.
Toaster. just this lamp and this paddle board game, and that's it. I'm leaving. All I need is the lamp. I'm leaving. And it's just the long, dramatic exit where you're supposed to beg him to stay. Like, please, Charles Blow, don't go. Don't.
Well, and it's funny too, because Trump said he's not coming back to the platform, and then Joe Rogan was like, "Come on, man, please
Yeah, come on."
Yeah, which he totally should do. Trump should totally come back to the platform.
Well, and then you have with this, you have Sean King, who is off for 12 hours. He took a countdown for like 12 hours.
Oh
and
my
came
God.
back.
What a douche that guy is! Like, what a huckster.
I know.
I didn't know that he had come back, but I predicted it. My husband was like, "Yeah, it's Sean King, deactivated his account." I'm like, "Oh, he's going to be back. This is a dramatic exit." But speaking of which,
he's
when
the
I
accidental
retweeted,
Rachel Dolezal. That's what
totally
Sean King is.
Talcum X, Mr. Talcum X, Charles Blow. Okay, right, like maybe 12 hours after this tweet where he says he's going to say goodbye. Put up the next one. Put up the next one, Pirate Tomsky. See, so then he goes, well,
and it's a retweet thread. You charlatan, you liar. I mean, the thing is, it's the moralism, you know.
What's funny is he had like a million likes on the other one, and he's got 1,000 on this one.
Yeah, so
they're
he
like
says, well,
really high.
Well, I'm out. I will now use Twitter like I use Facebook, only for promo purposes, to post my columns, TV and speech appearances, and book info. No content specifically for it or created for it. Oh, okay. So you're not leaving. You're staying. And you're going to keep using. This was so silly. And if you look at his feed, he's been tweeting a lot in the past few days. It's like, dude, come on. Anyway, okay.
So I wonder though, is there somewhere where you can find out like Twitter's actual numbers, like how many users it has? Because I would be interested to see if it's like where it's gone. Because again, if you're dropping bots, because Twitter makes its advertising money based on how many users it has on there, right? So if they're dropping if they're dropping numbers, that could also be a ploy to hurt Elon as soon as he gets the company, like his advertising numbers from going up. Like, oh, you dropped this many people, so we're gonna stop paying you as much, or you're not gonna get paid as much. I don't know.
Somebody in the chat, Michael says Howard Dean said he's leaving too and totally hasn't left. This is really sad. I used to love Howard Dean.
Remember his big whoop? That was so dumb. And like the thing is, Howard Dean got canceled for being excited about his campaign. Like that's so dumb. And I remembered at the time being like, we're pissed at him because he's excited about potentially being president.
What did he say? Whoopee or something?
He was like, whoop. He was like, yeah. Big whoop.
We're gonna go to Michigan. We're gonna go to Florida. We're gonna go here and there. Woohoo!
You can't say woohoo now. Like, and apparently not. No, you can't be too excited about potentially being president. But the thing,
then he also went on to be like a huge socialist. So
right. The thing that I find wild is the moralism that comes with people leaving social media. I don't need this. I don't need to be part of this anymore. You have social media. I'm too good for it. I'm better at it. You know, and it's like, I love social media. I think social media is great. You know, you get to like talk to a bunch of people. I met you guys, you know, it's like, it's so interesting. And we are able to, as a nation of people, collectively come up with ideas and then explore them. And then counter those ideas with other ideas, and then come up with a new idea, then counter that. It's like, you know, this dialectical approach to a massive conversation all in real time. And we can bring in, and, you know, I'm in media, you guys are in media. It's a huge platform for media people. And we get to talk to people from all over the world. Like, certainly there's, you know, when I'm involved with like a lot of gender critical communities in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and the UK. And you see all of these women talking during their own time zone. I've connected with a lot of people. And it's so interesting the way that ideas form. So to be a writer and to moralistically oppose breathlessly social media, you're too good for it, it's total nonsense. That's like saying, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go to the library anymore. However many years ago libraries were relevant. I'm not going to go to the library anymore. I don't need to read what other people are thinking. I don't need to engage with other thought leaders in my field. It's just not relevant to me. Yeah. Whose dog was that? It wasn't mine.
Exactly, Tiger. Exactly. Oh, it wasn't Tiger.
Well, no, it's Tiger. This is about. Hold on. I'm just gonna shut this door. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
That dog is so cute. I feel like Homer Simpson. Oh, this dog has a puffy tail.
I agree. I love social media. Like
It's so fun.
I will say something about like Twitter being a complete hellscape sometimes. But it's like I've met some of my closest friends now on Twitter, and I always get confused when people say, "Would you ever meet some?"
Tiger
That's
just quit
really
Twitter.
That's
Sorry, I
funny.
interrupted you.
No, I said it's always interesting to me when people say, "Would you ever meet somebody that you met on Twitter?" I'm like, I've met like almost all of my closest friends that I've met on Twitter. I met you, Carrie. I mean, a lot of my friends I've met now through Twitter, and that's why. And now I'm doing this, and so I've met a lot of people because of places like Twitter. Even though, yeah, it can get bad sometimes, but social media is great. And if you just want entertainment, go look at any of my videos on Rumble and look at the comment section. They're hilarious.
It's been
Never read the
media.
comments. I never read the
Social media for me
people
too.
tell me that too, but sometimes I'm like, I like to go in there to find the gems that like give me motivation. But and I can block out, but Rumble's comments are some of like I can't wait till Twitter becomes Rumble comment sections, because it's going to be great because the Rumble comments are just brutal.
Because it's uncensored. Is that why?
Yeah.
I was on a
they're
podcast.
uncensored.
I was on a thing recently. I was on Tim Pool recently, and there was a chat, and like I don't usually see the chats, but I was sitting right where I could see the screen with the chats, and somebody was like, "Libby is holding up my favorite pencil," and I was like, "Oh, Blackwing Unite!" It's like literally. So that was fun.
You're finding your
that.
pencil nerds.
I'm
His chat moves so fast. I remember what the first time I was on there, it was a similar. I just saw it off to the side and it was scrolling really fast. And I happened to look over right when somebody said, "Why is this woman dressed like my grandma?" I was like, "Oh, great." I get that comment a lot, actually. So Libby, you did a piece, and you've done a couple pieces about what's been going on with Twitter. Did you also do? I saw you did the one about how more free speech is great for liberalism, and we need a free speech movement. But did you also do the one about the leaked audio of the Twitter meeting?
I don't think that was me. I think that was Hannah Nightingale.
Oh, okay.
It might have been. But yeah, that was really fascinating. Yeah, so Project Veritas did their Project Veritas thing, and they got the leaked audio from the all hands Twitter meeting that happened after Elon Musk bought the platform, which I imagine is going to take a while. Acquisitions take a while, so it's going to be a minute. But yeah, so there was this meeting, and everyone at Twitter seemed very upset by it. The people at this meeting who were speaking. There were, I believe there were tears, if I recall. Yeah.
It's like
but we can pull that up. I can send it to you.
Yeah, I was interested in that too because it was all the leaked audio. But it sounds like it was again like Dave Chappelle on Netflix again, all over again.
Yeah,
everybody melted down in the office.
There's this idea that there's this idea that some ideas are just evil and can't exist, and so you can't talk about them and you can't be party to them. And in a true academic context, every idea is open for exploration, and there's no judgment about the value of a given idea. You explore all of it. You know, you ask all the questions. It's the only way to get to any sort of, you know, semblance of truth, is to engage in every area. But I think there was like a full, here it is. I'll give you this YouTube.
Wait, Pirate has it on screen.
Okay. There was like a full YouTube as well. So there was this there were like clips. Yeah.
Let's just listen to a little of it. I think this is pretty long. And you might have to scroll past James O'Keefe if he sets it up like he usually does. There he goes.
This was just pretty straight up.
Considering acquisition is by a person with questionable ethics.
The question of attrition, as Parag stated, one of the themes of today is continuity. And ensuring that Parag and this leadership team continues to operate the business successfully on behalf of our users, on behalf of our customers. And that's obviously been a big topic of discussion at the board. And as I mentioned, an area that is important to Elon Musk as well, because of the importance of Twitter as a service.
With no board in place, who will keep Elon accountable and how? Elon made it clear in public that a large part of the reason he bought the platform was because of our moderation policies and disagreements in how we deal with health. This puts Twitter service and trust and safety, as well as anybody who cares about health on the platform, in a very difficult position.
Twitter service, the role of our policies, and the capabilities we've built around content moderation are fundamental to keeping Twitter safe and growing. I believe that there is a lot of work we have to do to continue making that better. Sometimes that means more thoughtful moderation. Sometimes that means making things simpler. Sometimes that means changing product incentives to be able to solve problems through products sometimes instead of policies.
During the last all hands, you said that you trust Elon Musk. The correct quote was, "We trust him." So who is we? And talking to Elon, what made you trust him?
And based on the conversation I had with him when we were excited to have him join our board, that was because as a major shareholder and an opinionated user, we wanted that voice in our boardroom so that we could learn.
Is there an updated understanding on what free speech means?
The question behind the question here, which is, where might Twitter's product go as a private company in the future once this deal closes? To best gain perspective on this, as I said earlier, we'll find ways to bring Elon for a Q&A with all of you to understand better what his vision for the future of Twitter might look like.
Wow. Just a couple things. I saw people in the chat saying this too. First word that struck me is they say health. Health. Why do you have a health department at Twitter? Trust and safety. I mean, I get it. There needs to be an amount of content moderation that goes on, but I bet you that department is massive. Trust and safety.
Yes.
And it could more accurately probably be called censorship department. Safe. He used the word safe. And then what is free speech?
Well, this is a big question. What is free speech, right? You have Elon Musk saying that he's a free speech absolutist, which is essentially the idea that all speech should be available, that there's no such thing as hate speech or violations of hate speech or things like that. I think that that is what is upheld by our First Amendment, a free speech absolutist perspective. That's my perspective. I'm in favor of it. I've thought about it for a long time. I'm really into like just all the speech. The best way to counter speech you don't like is with more speech, not by suppressing the speech that you don't like. There used to be this great idea. You guys are familiar with it. I don't respect your views, but I, will fight for your right to express them. I thoroughly believe in that. I think that that is the best way to gain real understanding, to have any kind of real kinship with others, is to know that you're not going to, tell anyone that they have to be quiet by government or corporate mandate. So, but you also had Parag Agrawal, the current CEO of Twitter, saying that he doesn't believe, this was a while ago, that he doesn't believe that Twitter is beholden to that rule. of free speech, that for them it's more important to have like healthy conversations and to make sure to moderate those conversations. These are hugely different perspectives. I think there's a good shot that Musk takes the company private, gets these things sorted out, and then does another IPO.
It's also interesting that watching Jack Dorsey's comments on this, because he's excited about Elon Musk taking over. He said he thinks this is what's needed to happen for a long time. There was a comment, and I highlighted in the video I did on this yesterday, though it said it was Jack Dorsey responding to a tweet that talked about the insights of the Twitter board from the beginning of the inception of the Twitter board. And Jack Dorsey just basically commented on that and said it's been one of the biggest issues we've had, one of the biggest issues with Twitter since the beginning. And then somebody else just commented, "Are you allowed to say this?" And he said no. But it's really interesting. It is interesting to watch that, because you're right. I mean, when you're talking free speech, again, this was when Sean King came back on Twitter. He was like, "Oh, but all the app stores will not have now come out publicly and said we will not keep this if Twitter does not regulate hate speech." And my response to that was, what is hate speech? And I actually think that what is hate speech should take over for What Is a Woman, for questions to ask the left, because they don't have an answer. It's up to the individual who decides that it's hate speech to determine what it means. There is no definition of hate speech. It's just speech that is hateful. But what's that? Nobody can answer it. And the leftists definitely can't answer it. They just want to be able to censor you. And I think you nailed it, Libby, when you said you counter bad speech with more speech. You win in the world of ideas. And I think that's what most people just want the opportunity to win in the world of ideas. And that's where we're at, I think, with Twitter. And that's what I hope the platform goes to see forward. Elon's been kind of saying in the last couple of days that people on the far left and far right probably are going to hate him equally, because so it sounds like he is going to. I mentioned I would also assume that technically porn is considered a free speech right, but I assume
there's loads
that it's
of
going to
porn
be
on Twitter though. Like I've
There
occasionally gone to do a search for something and I'm like, oh my God, it's dick. Okay.
Oh,
right.
there's a
Not what I
lot.
was
and there's
looking
a-
for on the platform. Yeah.
And Eliza Blue's been hammering this the last couple of days too about the child sexual abuse material that's on Twitter, because not long Elon's going to be in front of Congress asking what he's doing about this, because there is an open lawsuit against Twitter for not removing child sexual abuse material. So, but I would assume that they are still going to try to moderate like porn as much as possible on Twitter, and that's kind of how they've been doing it. So I still think that there's going to be some moderations. It's not going to be like what's absolutely allowed under the First Amendment, even though that is, Elon said, based on where you're at in the location and what is the law at that local governance, then that is what Twitter will allow.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that Elon Musk was right on when he said he's going to get hated on both sides. That's kind of where you want to be, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's also something interesting too that I think. So we saw recently with the Parental Rights and Education Bill in Florida, which Ron DeSantis signed, and then you had Democrats say that it was actually a "Don't Say Gay" bill, which it actually isn't. And Disney was one of those major employer in Florida who came out and said that they would do everything they could to, I believe their quote from Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, was that Disney would do everything they could to work to repeal that law. And DeSantis basically said, go screw yourself. You are not the legislature. We are not beholden to corporate interests here in the state. And now you have a lot of people praising Elon Musk, who this morning slammed Biden's Disinformation Governance Board. Also, DeSantis said that his intention was to hold the Biden administration accountable for that board. So we have one CEO slamming the Parental Rights and Education Bill, getting roundly clobbered by conservatives, primarily on social media and in media, for saying that. And now you have Elon Musk slamming the Biden administration's Disinformation Board, and conservatives are on board with that. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah.
Like we want our CEOs to be in favor of what we're in favor of, and then we praise them. And when they're not in favor of what we're in favor of, then we say they don't have a right to that expression. It's definitely an interesting little area.
They have a right to that expression. Like, obviously Disney can say whatever they want about what they think about the bill, but then they can also be criticized by people who are like, I don't care what you have to say. Say what what you want, but we're gonna protest you. Has anyone, are people saying that Disney doesn't have that right to interfere? Is it a
I don't think anybody's saying. Oh, good.
Oh, I think some people were saying that. I don't think that they have a right to interfere in the state legislature for sure. And they didn't say anything until they were pressured to say something.
Yeah, but as a private organization, I think people have been kind of saying stuff like that. But I think that's more coming up when it looks at them taking away their tax benefits, like all the benefits that Disney has received for so many years because of this. And so basically, they're like, "Well, you don't bite the hand that feeds you," type deal, which is why I think government interest, or corporate interest in government, it needs a huge reform, because a lot of people are saying that this is a First Amendment violation, which I don't know if that is. Like DeSantis taking away their tax status. They're saying that's a First Amendment violation because it's a retaliatory effect of what they were doing, but they were getting special benefits. It's not like they're punishing them with more taxes. They're just taking away a tax break. So I don't know what the law would say there. It's going to be a really interesting going forward and see where it lands. But yeah, I think it's a difference when the government retaliates.
I thought that just looked like quite the. Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I do that.
No, go ahead. No,
literally all the time.
You're fine, Louis. I'm going to interrupt
not
you.
To do that. Go ahead.
Marvy Dog, thank you. Marvy Dog for the super chat says, keep an ear open for the talking heads using the label free speech absolutist. This seems to be the cathedral's preferred insult for First Amendment supporters. Are they trying to use it as an insult? I guess they will eventually.
I think they are, but it's dumb because I'm free speech absolutist, 100%, totally on board. But I do think that the Disney DeSantis tax status for Reedy County seemed like a pissing contest, and Disney's going to have to piss back, right? I mean, now you have Colorado being like, come make Disney World in Colorado instead. Just, like Disney is fine. DeSantis is great. He should be president.
I've talked to quite a few Floridians who don't want him to be president, though. They want him. They're like, we want to keep him in Florida.
I know they're greedy. They're greedy with their good governor. Start sharing.
They're DeSantis greedy. Just I saw this in the chat. Zato says, yes, they do. They also
free
say
speech extremist.
Yeah, free. What is a free speech extremist?
No free speech for me.
What does that mean, though? How can you be a free speech? More speech.
Well, what you're seeing
Sean
a lot
King
of
getting at.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. No, that's exactly what you're seeing. A lot of is they're saying these things because they're like, now you're gonna have like people. The racists are going to say all the racist things, and all the all the people that you would consider extremist are going to be saying what they actually think now on Twitter instead of hiding because they know that they're not going to get banned. Like they're afraid of the TERFs now being able to say what they want without getting banned. They're afraid of the racists. All the Nazis are going to try to get all of us deplatformed and killed, and that's what they're saying. Like that's why they're using the word extremist, because they think that free speech, because you remember these are the words are violence crowd, so they think that every single word that you say against them is like violence against them, and so that now that but it's still protected speech. So now they're really scared because I think that they think that their block button is going to be taken away. Like, I don't think that
Yeah,
I
that's
think that they're
dumb.
not gonna be allowed to block people.
What's great though is when everybody feels comfortable speaking their minds fully, you get to see really who the worst people are anyway, right? So it's like
Absolutely.
if you're like this racist person and you suddenly feel very comfortable to espouse your racist views, that's better that we can see that that's what your motivations are and what you're about and understand everything you say with that in mind than it is to not see that and not know that and have horrible racist Twitter person hiding, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
better to know what people think, and that way
I
you
say-
can understand their framework better.
Drag it into the sunlight.
I say this all the time, being who I am and getting comments that I get, right? I'm like, I like to know who the bigots are so I don't hang out with bigots. I like to know, I think that companies should be able to make the rules inside their company, like trans bathroom situations and stuff like that. Because I don't want to give my money to people who don't want me in their stores or restaurants or anything like that. I'm not going to give my money. You have the right to do that, but I'm not going to give my money. And that's what free speech is about. We can choose to associate or disassociate with whoever we want based on who they are. We don't have to force people to take our money or force people to associate with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
when I go to
great.
places in New York and it says like that they still require vax mandates or whatever, I'm like, okay, so I'm not going here then, obviously.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
when I was in
I'm not
Texas,
showing
Carrie.
my papers. Yeah.
It was like wearing a mask when I was in Texas. We're like, we're not going in there.
Yeah, we would
Right?
just choose
I
not
saw
to
that
go
in Texas too. Yeah,
There
it's
were
like really,
in Austin. There's quite a few woke places. Not as many up here. Every once in a while, there's one up here. But can we switch topics for a second? Speaking of being hated on both sides, this is something just personal that happened recently, but I think it's an interesting conversation, and I want to get your take on it, both of you. So I am very used to, in the past few years, being called a transphobic bigot and a TERF and all these different names by the left, right? I've gotten used to that. And I've had to become okay with people thinking things about me that are not true. And I can't do anything about what you think about me. So that's a hard lesson to learn, and to actually, I've had to learn it several times. But then recently, I was just at the Better Discourse conference with you, Libby, which was great, in Fort Worth in Texas.
it was fun.
And
I had so much FOMO.
oh, you got to come to the next one, just to get you back in Texas. But so
Yeah.
I took pictures with several of the attendees and posted them. Took one with you, Libby. And the one I took with Blair White, I suddenly got a lot of, maybe 3 or 4 different people who were very upset that I would dare to take a photo where I'm smiling with a trans woman, and then sort of this. I went from being called a transphobe to being called like a trans enabling Pharisee. And so I wanted to bring this subject up because one of the things I was being told, and maybe I just want to clarify this for anyone who follows me and is confused. We don't have to choose the same thing. We can have different opinions on things. I don't choose to when I meet a person, okay? I'm not going to use made up pronouns. I'm not going to use these or them, because I think those are fundamentally asking me to lie. I'm not going to use they, them. And then I'm going to choose when I use a person's preferred pronouns. It's an impulsive thing, but if I think about it and take it apart, it's based on a lot of things. Is this person compelling me to use their pronoun? Is this person pretending that they're not biologically the opposite sex? Do they want me to pretend that too? Is this person, honestly, a lot of it has to do with, do they pass so much that the first thought that comes in, when I look at Blair White, she and her comes into my mind. I would have to jump through mental hoops to say he and him, and I'm not going to do that. And then the other thing is, this one guy was like, say his name. I'm like, I don't even know what name Blair was born with. And am I going to walk up to someone whose work I admire, who's doing a lot of work against transing kids? Am I going to walk up to this person and be like, hey, how you doing? You're a man. What name were you born with? Okay, got it. Anyway, how's the day? How are you doing the conference? Like, what a dick. Like, I am not going to be that dick. And if you want to be that dick.
Blair is a male name as well. Like I've known men named Blair.
I have to.
But
that's a good point. I should have brought that up.
Even with me too, it's like, this is my real name. It's by law. My name is Sara. Yeah. And not very many people know my old name.
Yeah. And Sara, so this happened this morning. It was on my mind because then when I promoted this show, one of these same people was like, first comment, say his name or say his real name. It's like, I've only ever known Sara as Sara, and you trying to force me over a period of days to control me and tell me I have to make the same choice as you. It's just as controlling. It's just as obsessive as social justice people trying to get me to call Leah Thomas a woman, which I'm not going to do. So no, that's my answer is no. And that's not very well articulated. I apologize, ladies. I'm trying to figure out how I want to talk about this, but if you have any thoughts on it.
It's interesting. I made this comment to you too, because I live in the middle of most conversations. When I was on your show the first time, on the new show, I had mentioned that there are those on the left who are trying to cancel me. I get called TERFs, a TERF probably every day. I get videos made about me. But then there's a section of the gender critical movement that wants to deplatform people like me and Blair and the others and Buck Angel and stuff like that because we're trans. What they call it, don't take your trans friends to work day type thing. Like they want us basically deplatformed as well. Like there are no good trans to talk to or anything like that. Like we can't support anybody even if we're pushing the right narrative. And there's also something. So last year at Freedom Fest, Austin Peterson was talking about this, and he mentioned me because I'm a regular on his radio show. But he says somebody like me, he will use my preferred pronouns and everything like that. But because I'm for free speech. I'm not compelling you to do this. I'm not going to force you to use anything that you don't want to use for me. He said, but if you're a communist and you don't believe in free speech and you don't believe in private property rights, then I'm not going to do that. I'm going to purposely misgender you. I'm going to purposely misname you.
Same.
To get under your skin because I know that is your weakness. That is your crux. And that's what's going to make you like lose your mind and make you look like a complete, go crazy so that you look crazy, so that you look crazy to the rest of the people. And then more people move to our side because they're like, these people, I don't want to associate with that. That's crazy. It's kind of, again, it's the freedom of association stuff.
Yeah.
My view would be a couple of things. You weren't the only one who got slammed for a photograph that stemmed out of the Better Discourse conference.
I'm surprised you didn't get the heat that James Lindsay got.
Nobody knows me. James Lindsay is very well known. Also, Nikki Klein is a friend of mine. I'm going to stick up for my friends no matter what. I don't have to agree with my friends about their political views. I don't even have to agree with them about their ideas about, their own lives. And I'm not saying that I do or don't disagree with Nikki about anything. This has been my, this is how I treat all of my friends. I have lots of friends that I disagree with. I have lots of friends where if their life were my life, I'd be like, girl, like, you should really do it this way. Get rid of that guy. Like, don't talk to your kid like that, whatever it is. But I love them. This is my friend. I'm not going to judge them. If they're interested in my advice, they can ask for it. But mostly I'm interested in, sharing a life journey with my friends, enjoying them, being part of their world, being part of their conversations, and just like loving these people. So to me, that's what friendship is about. It's not about judging people. It's not about criticizing them. There's these people, just total tangent. There's these people who like, if you don't take their advice, if you're upset with something and you don't take their advice about your life, they're like, well, I can't be friends with you anymore because you won't fix this thing about yourself. And it's like, I'm probably not going to fix all the things about myself. I don't have that much time. Like, I still have to work a job and pay my rent. Like, how am I supposed to do that? Am I supposed to like exist in some sort of metaphysical ashram forever trying to figure it out? No, like, forget it. I'm trying to exist over here. Life is hard enough without your friends, getting all in your face because you're not doing your life the way they think that you should. So I don't get involved in that. I love my friends. I'm gonna stick up for them. Doesn't matter. Just totally irrelevant to me. So yeah, I had photographs with Nikki as well. I'll always take pictures with Nikki. I have great pictures of her with my son. They got on really great. So James got slammed for being in the photo with Nikki. Totally stupid. They were on a panel together. The conference is literally about bringing people who have different and divergent perspectives together to have what's called a better discourse.
Yes.
To talk about things. Like, if you are making friends with people you disagree with, that's like at least half the point of this conference.
Yes.
And it's one of the great things about it, like now I can be, I was on a panel with, different people that I disagree with. So what? I like them. I like them personally. So
I'm going to cut it. I like Jangles, and Jangles is a social justice warrior. And I think his ideology is evil, but I don't think he's evil. And
no,
I every time I see him, it makes me smile.
But I don't think he's evil.
He might think I'm evil.
I mean, in terms of there's something I think that's more important than any of these things, more important than any ideology. And that is treating the people that you encounter in your life with kindness, love, and respect. That's more important than anything else. Like, if I'm talking to somebody and they have specific pronouns, whether it's someone in my family that I already love and care about, someone that I'm just meeting, or someone, in perhaps a friend group that I don't know, whatever it is, I'm going to use that person's pronouns. That doesn't change what I believe about the innate nature of biological sex. I'm going to use a person's name that they tell me their name is. There's someone that I'm close to in my family who changed their name, changed their pronouns. I do my damnedest to make sure that I get those right, because I know it matters to this person, and this person matters to me. I don't agree with their choices. So what? So what? I don't agree with tons of choices that people make. I still use their names, and I still refer to them, and I still treat them with kindness, respect, and love. To me, I'm rambling now, but to me, that's a Christian perspective. To treat people the way that you would want them to treat you is very important.
Adam in the chat says, respect needs to be earned, but everything else, civility, manner, character, are important. Yeah, it's sort of this is what you're getting at, I think, is respect is something that grows as you learn a person's character and who they are. And when I meet someone who's like, here's a great example. One of my old coworkers had a niece who, I think I might have talked about this on the show, but anyway, decided they were genderqueer and wanted to be called they, them. And my coworker tried to enforce this with me and another coworker there. And she started calling her niece her nephew, which I'm like, no, I'm not using these made up words. I'm just not. And then she said something once in this conversation where I said something about her niece. I was like, and I used the word she. She's like, they, them. And I was like, no. Like, I don't respect that. I don't respect that attempt to coerce me. And I don't respect the attempt to get me to use words that are more confusing, that introduce confusion into a conversation, like they, them, or them, zer, or whatever. That's my personal choice. Libby may have a different choice on that. I don't come up into Libby's house and demand that she do the exact same thing that I do. And I just find that incredibly rude. And I don't see much difference between the social justice left trying to control me and say, you must call, the GameStop ma'am, she, which I'm not going to do. And then the conservative right telling me I must call Sara he, which I'm not going to do. It's like, and again, I'm not articulating it well, but I had, because I still have a lot of like this morning. I was like, like I want to say something about this.
I mean, there's also a difference too between the way that you treat an individual and the way that you, discuss a group, right?
Yeah.
That's a difference
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
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 But to me, like I remember distinctly, someone in my family had a son, disagreed with the way that their son was living their life, and said to me, I can't talk, I can't talk to him until he XYZ, like does these things that I want him to do, levels up in his life, gets a proper job, whatever else it is, gets these things in order. And I said, look, this is your son, right? You need to decide if you want this person in your life. This person is now an adult. You have parented them to adulthood. You now have to decide if you want this person in your life. And if you do want them in your life, then you need to meet them where they stand. You need to enjoy the time that you spend with them. You need to engage with them and act as though they have the right to lead their life according to their own choosing, which obviously now they do. That's a huge thing. Like meet a person where they stand. Be kind to them. If you enjoy that person, regardless of what choices they are making that you disagree with. I had another friend who was in prison. And while he was in prison, all of his friends basically ditched him. They didn't like the crime that he had committed. I mean, who does? Like those, but everyone just stopped being his friend. And I wrote him letters. The man is doing his time, right? He's doing the time. Who am I to judge? Once the government has already judged, a sentence has been handed out, and he follows through that sentence. I wrote him letters. We remained friends. It was important to me. In the Gospels, Jesus says, did you visit me when I was in prison? And I thought to myself, I didn't, but I'll write you a letter. Ugh, like, is that?
Yeah.
And that was important to me. It's not up to me to judge him at this point. God has judged him, right? Probably. That's not, what do I know from God? The state has judged him. He's done his time. Afterwards, when he got out, at a certain point, he started being judgy of me because I'm like conservative pundity type of person. And recently came to me and asked me to justify my internal life as though in some way I was betraying myself. And I was just like, okay, now I'm judging you because this is total bullshit. Excuse me. I like you as a person. I'm happy to enjoy your company. I'm happy to chat with you. Like, I like you, but now you're not meeting me where I stand.
Exactly.
You're not accepting that I have the rights to make my own choices and that I'm making them on a foundation that, is meaningful to me. That really pissed me off.
You made me think of this. I heard this pastor once say that love is meeting someone where they are, but treating them as though they were where you think they should be, which is what you're saying. And that's the way I try and engage with people. And that's the advice I would give other people. If there are people who are like, but I think this thing is wrong and I think it's a sin and I must tell this person. It's like, well, okay, but is that really loving to treat a person like that? Why can't you meet them where they are? And the funny thing is what you're talking about. So you acted in love with him. You did not judge him. You wrote him letters, and then not everybody can return love though.
And now he's all judgy.
Yeah, exactly. He can't do the same.
Why? Like, yeah, I found that very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be, I don't know. That would definitely be hard because like you did all that for him but that's the way that so many people in society are. I mean, Carrie, you talk about, narcissist all the time, and that's kind of what it is. It's like, don't judge me, but I'm going to judge you.
Yeah.
It's also it's kind of like
it's so rude.
It is so rude, and I think like if I have a friend who is obese, and if I personally think that being obese is bad for you and an external representation of something wrong inside of you, I don't love you by every time I see you being like, hey, you're fat, you're still fat. So how's it going on today? What's happening? You know, like that's just not, that doesn't love you. Okay. And like,
No.
if you get to a point where you address that health issue and I never cut off contact, because why would I cut off contact with you? We all have our things that we're struggling with. And it just blows my mind. People who are like, appreciative when you meet them where they're at, even though you may feel differently or you may be judging them about something, but you're still treating them with love, but then they can't do the same for you. I don't know.
There's also a difference too, I think, if you're in a relationship, like a romantic relationship. If you're in a romantic relationship with someone who, to continue with your hypothetical, is remarkably obese and can no longer be a substantive partner, and doesn't want to address the issues that are preventing them from being a substantive partner, then I think that's an issue. And in that case, it's not necessarily the obesity that's the issue, but it's all of the underlying things that need to be dealt with in order for that person to be your, romantic and domestic partner, which I do think is a different situation, right? Like if you're involved with someone whose behavior and habits are so detrimental, not only to themselves, but that they spill over onto you and your domestic life and your children and your finances and like, what all of that does, then I think it's a different story. And you can disengage from that relationship and then love them and meet them where they stand. But you don't have to remain in the romantic relationship with a person who is refusing to actually be your partner.
Right. And I think all of these things, when they get to the extreme, and that's what you're talking about, when you get to, if it were something like the reality show, My 800-Pound Life, or something, it's like, yes, at that point, love, I think, does look like intervening. The same thing with an alcohol, if it gets to that point where someone's destroying their life. But if it's just like, this is something they struggle with, it's not at that point of an extreme where you need to have an intervention with friends, then I don't know. Thanks for helping me figure out what I think about all those.
But it's hard though. I mean,
is,
these are hard questions.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, so like an intervention is just that, telling somebody what you think, and it's just like a one-time thing. But at the end of the day, like watch the show Intervention. If they don't go to rehab, then you disassociate. You don't continue to batter them over the head with what you think about them all the time, and that's what people seem to do a lot in society. And it comes from every area of society. And you would think, I mean, we're all Christians here, and you would think that Christians would be the most accepting, but they're the ones that are, they believe in the Bible, but the Bible tells us not to judge. Only God can judge. And then they're the ones out here telling, what you should be doing and what other people should be doing, while they're not living up to all the standards they should be living up to. But they see it as their right to tell you and not have you tell them. They would say that don't judge me, and then they would come out and tell you, judge you for whatever you do.
There's actually, and I'm gonna mangle this because I can't recite it, but there's a part in the Bible that I've been reading recently. This is really interesting to me. I'm glad you brought this up, Sarah. There's a part about judging within the church, like to show love within with your brother and your sister. If you see a brother or sister living in sin, it's the part where one of the apostles is writing about how like this church, you've allowed adulterers to live among you. This guy who took his dad's wife or something as his own, and you've said nothing about it, and you need to say something about it. And you need to judge. That is, and then it specifically says in that same passage, and maybe somebody in the chat can pull this up if they know what passage I'm talking about. Then it says something like, but as for people who don't believe, no, you don't need to be judging them. It's like, that is something that I appreciate in a church, where it's like, if we see you living in a sin in an unrepentant way and you're a member and you're one of the flock, we will have an intervention. We will talk to you about it. We will hold you accountable because we love you. But as for somebody outside, if it's somebody outside the church and not a believer who's engaging that behavior, no, that's none of our business. They're of the word. It's like, I'm not going to go outside and be like, listen, like, you don't even believe what I believe. So why would I go out there and judge you? I don't know. I think that's really interesting. I did want to highlight this too. Lissa, I saw this, Lissa. Yeah, she says, as a fat person, what I do not want to hear is, oh, but you're beautiful just the way you are. Don't worry about losing weight. That infuriates me to no end. I agree. I don't believe in lying. That's lying. And I don't, when I was drinking too much, I was dating someone who was, when I would talk about like, do you think maybe I should quit? Do you think I have a problem? And he was a liar. And with that, and then that did not help me. And it was like, no, you're fine. Don't quit here. Yeah, I did not.
And I think that's what's key is that you're not going to live the lie. Like if somebody's living an unhealthy lifestyle and you're their friend, maybe you can mention that to them. You can talk to them. You can, if somebody is fat and they are like, oh, I think I need to lose weight, and you agree, or you say, yeah, I can help you, like all this other stuff. But it's the not beating them over the head every time you see them, not feeling compelled to just come out and say, well, you're fat, like that type of stuff. There's a difference between being helpful and being rude. Like those are the two things that you have to look at.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Libby.
I don't know how to.
Oh, you're back.
You're back.
Okay. I think you have to consider too what you would want, how you would want someone that you loved to talk to you if you were in that situation. And then you have to make your judgment from there. I think that's important. Yeah. But it's true too, like that in the Gospels, it talks about how the Pharisees and everybody are always out there being hypocritical. Like we see that pretty fully and clearly. So I don't think it's a surprise that you would see someone who is outwardly appears to be very devout, actually being super judgy and bitchy about everything. My mom is an atheist, and I'm not an atheist. And her view is that she doesn't believe in God, essentially because the church is corrupt. And it's like, oh, okay.
I can see that.
Shocking. Organizations of mankind are rife with corruption. I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. And I'm always like, Mom, God has very little to do with the church. It's the church that appeals to God.
Yeah.
God has to do with our hearts and our souls.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this when you were on my channel too. Like for me, I consider myself a Catholic, but I hate the Catholic Church. Like I hate the hierarchy of the church. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, I'm Catholic because I grew up Catholic and that's the type of a church I like to attend. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably more just non-denominational because I just believe in Christ, and I have my own belief system in terms of that. But yeah, so what you're saying, like, yeah, the church has nothing to do with the religion essentially, or it's just what's pushing their religion, and it's usually their interpretation of it. But what I don't like, I don't like the church because like I don't like a lot of set churches because it's just basically on like the Catholic Church is basically on the whims of the new Pope. But who's the new Pope, and we currently have a communist Pope. So what do we do?
Well, and also you can find God if you pray for guidance and you pray for faith. Like I do believe that God will find you there.
Yeah, I do too. Libby, I know you have to go soon. I really appreciate you joining us and letting me think through some of these things with you.
That's how we know things, right?
Yes.
That's how we know things. There was some English poet, maybe it was Irish, said, how do I know what I'm thinking unless I write it down? Maybe it was Paul Simon. I don't know. Somebody.
Well, tell people, anybody who wants to find you online, where can they find you? I know Pirate's dropping it in the chat also.
That's me. I'm at Libby Emmons on Twitter. I'm Libby.Emmons on Instagram. I just started a public Instagram that doesn't have all pictures of my son, which the other one does. And I'm at thepostmillennial.com every day. You can find out what we're doing there. We're tracking news in the US and Canada.
Cool.
Thanks,
Well,
guys. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
thank you. Have
Yeah,
a
it was
nice rest of your
awesome.
day. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks.
Cool.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
Sarah, I wonder if we could just finish up with some fun memes. Is that okay?
Yeah,
If we
let's
just
do
have,
it.
If we just have fun. Okay.
And after this show, yes, let's just have some fun.
Yeah, because I was like, what are you talking about? It really is when you're in the. Sometimes I do this on shows when I'm trying to figure out how to articulate something that I'm thinking. Like Libby said, I have to write it out or I have to talk with people, and so I've heard sometimes in the chat people are like, that's not really well put together. And it's like, yeah, because I'm currently thinking about it. Thank you.
Yeah,
This is what it looks like.
A lot of times, almost like a lot of interviews go like that. It's like, yeah, when you start talking, sometimes you start throwing hypotheticals around, and like as you're actually like thinking about it, and you're trying to formulate your opinion while you're actually on stream, so they kind of it doesn't come off as very coherent. You know, it's like, where is this going? Like, what are you trying to think? So I completely get that. Actually, I think me and Libby had a very similar like formulating of where we were going, like we're formulating opinions on stuff that we really hadn't thought about before the stream. So we're like, what are we talking about when she was on my channel?
Nice.
And so it's always fun. That's the joy of coming on the internet every day. I know people that'll do like a show and just like jump on and be like, okay, guys, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. So let's just throw some stuff in the chat and we're just going to like go from there.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
Like the chat is their therapist, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think Pirate has some memes queued. Let's start with this one. I basically, because I was so busy this week, I just wanted to collect. I said, if you have memes, put them in this thread so I can laugh at them later. And so it started with this one of Elon Musk looking through the Twitter bird. And then let's see what some of the ones. The screaming lady has now become so ubiquitous. It's almost all the Twitter memes I saw have the screaming lady in them.
And I actually, so the intro to my latest video is great because I took a lot of leftist screaming. Like I had like the whole intro was like the leftist screaming, and this person, obviously the video of it made the video.
Oh my gosh. This is one that says people who think men can be pregnant are suddenly concerned about misinformation on Twitter if Elon owns it. Yes. This one didn't make me laugh when I saw it. What is that? Is it the Tesla?
That's the Tesla.
Oh.
It's the Tesla symbol, but
it's clever.
Yeah. Wait, the hair. Go back up. The hair on, is that the Elon Musk hair?
Oh, okay. That's pretty. That's a pretty nice detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give this one a 3. Okay. Now this one, I laughed so hard when I first saw it. The yelling lady on a tweet.
Yeah.
Again, that lady just kills me. I don't know. I gave this one like a 6.
If Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter, he could have. Oh yeah, I talked about that too.
If Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter, he could have literally given everyone $1 trillion. Why do they think this? That this is some.
You know, I have a hard time understanding. Well, I made the point in my video. I said, we've had the obvious reactions about this, saying, you know, Elon Musk could, if Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion, he could have solved world hunger with that. And I'm like, well, our government just spent $1 trillion on military aid to Ukraine, and we're $30 trillion in debt. So why haven't we done anything with world hunger?
Yeah. What's our budget per year? Is it 7 trillion or something?
Yeah, it's insane how much they spend.
So why don't they just cure world hunger then?
Exactly. Well, and actually, if you really think about it, they're spending that $1 trillion on stuff that's not going to end world hunger. In fact, it's going to make world hunger worse. Like perpetual war makes world hunger worse because it just creates more third world countries.
Yeah. Some people don't like this one. This is so we'll scroll past, but it was a pretty funny Elon Musk looking very statuesque, naked on a bird.
I get one though.
This is a Lion King one with Elon Musk holding up a baby tweet and all the screaming ladies, the baboons. Classic. The chorus of the Rees. Have you seen most of these already, Sarah?
I have not. I haven't. I need to go in there and look at some of these. Let me see.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's not related. Yeah, keep going. Some people just posted unrelated memes. Like, no, I want the Twitter Elon memes.
Here, let me see.
And then there are two that I sent you that are just probably my favorite ones. This one, oh, thank you, sir.
I love that one. Yeah.
This is making fun of the picture that just came out this week of is it Justin Trudeau sitting on a swing with his wife, and they're both wearing masks in a padded
and that
room.
is just glorious. Like, well, it was the comment that he left with it too. I think that was something to behold. But I like this. This is good.
This just, the screaming lady. And then this one. So we've got, it's that meme of the person walking all the way across an empty room of urinals to stand right next to another person.
Yeah.
And then it's the screaming lady saying, hey, I'm deactivating my Twitter account.
Yeah.
That was one of the best ones.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, Pirate. I don't think we can hear you want to try playing this?
I can hear it.
Okay, yeah, let's try it.
See if, I can hear it. Oh, that one's good too. I dropped a video to I dropped a link to my video in there, so you can actually see how I open my video up. It's funny because it's kind of like that though.
The screaming just kills me. Okay, yeah, we'll go out on this. Let's put up the intro to your video, Pirate, if you can pull that up. It's in the private chat.
Yeah. I can't hear it.
Oh yeah, we can't hear. Oh my gosh, I saw the screaming people. Okay, he's gonna fix it. He's gonna try to fix it. If we can't pull it up, we'll drop that. Wait, he's got it. Terrified! Can this year get any
It's horrifying.
That's pretty much.
Thank you.
I had to add Taylor Lorenz in there.
They have so much rage. And
I know.
Yeah, it's just.
And I basically said, yeah, that's pretty much the collective left's reaction to Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Have you ever seen the horror movie The Babadook?
I have not. I'm not a big horror fan though.
This is an excellent one. I forget what country it's out of. Maybe Australia or New Zealand. Somebody in chat probably knows. Anyway, this one came out a few years ago. It's really well done. It's not like a gotcha film. It's very scary with the way they film it in terms of the angles and the lighting and just the mood. It's just a creepy film. And there's this one part where the mom is like terrified of her son, and he's in the back seat just screeching, and it makes all these clips, whenever I see these, it makes me think of that kid in the back, like, just they can't control it.
Oh, it's so good. that's the reaction. That is like what I think of when I see them post on Twitter, like all this screeching and stuff. It's like, yes, that is what they are doing, but in word format.
They're like people possessed. So okay, Sara, we're going to wrap up now. I've got some more packing to do before Friday Night Tights. If you guys are around tonight, though, I am going to do Friday Night Tights. It'll be the last video I do in this old house. And so that's on Nerdrotic channel. Hope to see you guys there. Sara, can you tell people where they can find you online?
Yes. Probably the easiest thing to do is just go to my website, sarahhigdon.com, or Twitter and Instagram is Sara Higdon with an underscore after it. And then it's youtube.com/Sara Higdon, rumble.com/Sara Higdon. Yeah, and those are probably my biggest ones. But you can see a lot of my other work even on my website. So there's links to other stuff that I've done. So
thank you so much for being on. Oh, there we go. Pirate put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked again. I love coming on. So anytime. So thanks for having me.
I wanted to just hang out and have like a relaxing. We were I'll just tell you as a friend, we were moving all day yesterday until like I don't think we went to bed until 1 a.m. And then this morning got up at 6 a.m. to unload the U-Haul that we hadn't finished last night. And then just a crazy mad dash of getting back over to this place. And there's still some remaining, like I have to pack up this room tonight. And it's one of those times where I wish that I had hired movers.
Like I always tell people I've moved 7 times in 7 years, but I never had to do it myself because I was in the Army and they paid for it. So I never had to actually move myself.
Yeah, the people come.
And so,
yeah.
But this has been a long process for you. So I'm excited for you. Glad that you guys are finally getting this done because you were doing this back when I was there in November. So
yeah, we've been in between houses for almost a year because we were trying to be like, we can only afford things, as we could afford things, we're doing more renovations. And so the new old house is what we call it now the foundation has been fixed. We do have AC. Woohoo! That's new since you were here. But there's no shower yet and there's no kitchen. There's a half bath under the stairs. So there's a toilet and a sink, but that's it. So we're going to become frequent members at the shower and the gym and just be roughing it like 1800s house for a while. But at least we'll be in one place now.
You could if you didn't want to go to the gym every time though, you can get, they're called solar showers. It's what you take when you're backpacking and stuff like that. We used to use them in the Army too, but they basically a giant bag, like a big bag that you fill with water and you hang it on a tree and like let the sun heat it up. And then you can just take the shower.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to look into this.
I actually have one. Like I said, it's in my backpacking bag. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Right on.
But yeah, so when you guys are ready, I'm gonna come visit sometime soon.
We're gonna have the best. I mean, look, it's taken us a year to get this far, so give me another year. You're more than welcome before then. But give me a year to get the rooms looking really nice. You can still come to 1800 house. You just you may not have plaster on the walls or anything for a while. But anyway,
I've lived in the woods, So.
You've roughed it, yeah.
Yeah, I was again Army. Months at a time out in the field was that'd be awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you to my husband for being so patient during this move and helping me with stuff. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And go find Sara. We've got the links in the chat. And I'll see you guys later if you show up to Friday Night Tights.
All right.
Cool. Oh, now here's the awkward part where I still have to pull up the video. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Sara.